spitting syllables, soliloquies so simple as these.
It's Reckin' and Rappin', a podcast with a purpose to save humanity and enlighten the dark. I'm your host, King Cooper. When it comes to good predictions, people have no imagination. When it comes to disasters, there's a new one a minute. Shakespeare is dead and buried. Before we get into Voltaire, I want to quickly go over a poem in this book, 101 Famous Poems. It's titled The Builders by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Born February 27th, 1807, died March 24th, 1882. All are architects of fate, working in these walls of time, some with massive deeds and great, some with ornaments of rhyme. Nothing useless is or low, each thing in its place is best, and what seems but idle show strengthens and supports the rest. For the structure that we raise, time is with materials filled. Our todays and yesterdays are the blocks with which we build. Truly shape and fashion these, leaving no yawning gaps between. Think not, because no man sees, such things will remain unseen. In the elder days of art, builders wrought with greatest care each minute and unseen part, for the gods see everywhere. I'm sure Mr. Longfellow means the one true God, Lord Jesus Christ. Let us do our work as well, both the unseen and the seen. Make the house where gods may dwell beautiful, entire, and clean. Else our lives are incomplete, standing in these walls of time, broken stairways where the feet stumble, and they seek to climb. Build today, then, strong and sure, with a firm and ample base, and descending and secure, shall tomorrow find its place. Thus alone can we attain to those turrets where the eye sees the world as one vast plain, and one boundless reach of sky. What a beautiful poem for the builders. And it makes sense that the first poem in the poem book would be for the builders. Actually, it doesn't make sense because a poet is unlikely to be a builder. As in, if you're spending all your time making art, then you're not building. Well, I mean, you're building metaphorical things, I should say. You're not laying cement or picking up bricks. Your hands aren't getting rough. But to go over some of that, speaking of, in the first lines, I don't know what the stanza is, 4 lines, says ornaments of rhyme. So we're talking about it talks about that the decorations are still important. Ornaments or decorations is beautiful things like poetry, but even architecture, as it mentioned. Another line, and what seems but idle show strengthens and supports the rest. So that's what we're talking about art. It seems like idle show, but it has an importance to it. Even in architecture, you might notice the flowers or even on this chair, there's all these ornamental rhymes going on with it. In my hat, on my scepter, ornaments. They might seem like idle show, but they strengthen and support the rest. Next stanza, our todays and yesterdays are the blocks with which we build. So we build with our days. The time spent in each day we put into different tasks, and that is how we build something. Another line mentioned, leave no yawning gaps between. So I think it's talking about building. You don't put your bricks 2 feet apart when you're building a house, but it mentioned yawn. So I want to connect that with a song featuring Grip. Grip will be part of our rap section, but the song is Life Happens Quickly by Nappy Roots, featuring Grip. And Mr. Roots says, before I yawn, I thank the Lord for this morning. Before I yawn, before I say I'm bored, I thank the Lord for this morning. Get it? All right, good. Well, and on that song, Life Happens Quickly, Grip also says, fools that want to be reckless got a death wish. Please don't end up necklace for a necklace. So to break down that bar, reckless death wish is rhyming, but is to say, so if they are reckless, they have a death wish, they aren't caring about their life. And so end up necklace for a necklace is a double entendre. You'd have your head chopped off for a piece of jewelry that goes around the place, the neck, connecting the head to the body. Moving further down to else our lives are incomplete, standing in these walls of time, broken stairways where the feet stumble as they seek to climb. Seek to climb. That is what we do here on Wrecking and Rapping. And so otherwise, our lives are incomplete. So we must fix the broken stairway. We will stumble, and we continue to climb. And finally, thus alone can we attain. So I take that as humans, we alone can attain these beautiful things. And also it said we can attain to those turrets. And so I looked up, I'm used to a turret being a machine gun turret, wherever the gun goes, but looking up the etymology, turret means tower. So any tall vantage point, I guess you could call a turret. But those humans alone can achieve such heights. Now for some Voltaire. So I did have a concise Voltaire. This is the portable Voltaire. And it starts off with a selection from his philosophical dictionary. And this is about 200 pages of terms that he then, Voltaire, writes a definition for. The first one's going to be abbe. The word abbe, let it be remembered, signifies father. If you become one, you render a service to the state, then doubtless perform the best work that man can perform. You give birth to a thinking being. In this action there is something divine. But if you are Monsieur l'Abbé only because you have had your head shaved, wear a clerical collar and a short cloak, and are waiting for a fat benefice, you do not deserve the name of abbé. The ancient monks gave this name to their superior whom they elected. The abbé was the spiritual father. What different things do the same words signify at different times? The spiritual father was a poor man at the head of others equally poor. But the poor spiritual fathers have since had incomes of 200 or 400,000 livres, and there are more poor spiritual fathers in Germany who have regiments of guards. A poor man making a vow of poverty and in consequence becoming a sovereign. It has been said before, but it must be said 1,000 times. This is intolerable. The laws protest such an abuse. Religion is shocked by it, and the really poor who want food and clothing appeal to heaven at the door of Monsieur l'Abbé. But I hear the abbés of Italy, Germany, Flanders, and Burgundy ask, why are not we to accumulate wealth and honors? Why are we not to become princes? The bishops who were originally poor are like us. They have enriched and elevated themselves. One of them has become superior even to kings. Let us imitate them as far as we are able. Gentlemen, you are right. Invade the land. It belongs to him whose strength or skill obtains possession of it. You have made ample use of the times of ignorance, superstition, and infatuation to strip us of our inheritances and trample us under your feet, that you might fatten on the substance of the unfortunate, but tremble for fear that the day of reason will arrive. One thing I want to cover with Voltaire, so we're going to wreck his written, but he's going to be very outspoken against the Catholic Church. And I don't want to twist that with being outspoken against God. I think he's more, I don't even know if Voltaire really has an opinion on God, but is more so the human aspect of God. So here the abbés, the church fathers, the spiritual fathers, as he says, the humans gathering other humans together, and then it turns out getting paid quite well off of that. So that is where Voltaire is going to have a problem, and this will be his whole life. He's going to have lots of things to say, because he's got a lot of things to say, about the church. So going through a little bit of that. But so in the beginning, he says that you perform the best work, the priest or abbé. So Yeah. You give birth to a thinking being, and that is the greatest thing. And that's what we talk about. Like in the beginning was the word, that theology, medicine, and jurisprudence are the highest things we can study. That is the best work. Thinking being. But if you are an abbe only because you shave your head, wear a collar, and a short cloak, then you don't deserve that name. And that's so this is part of Voltaire's problem. If you're not this title because you are a spiritual father, you are this title only because you're checking the fashion boxes. And Jesus never said anything about what hairstyle you should be wearing. Next, he talks about the word spiritual father and says, what different things do the same words signify at different times? So he's making emphasis that spiritual father used to mean something and now just means this guy in a position. And mentioning that they get so wealthy that some of them have guards. Now, does that make any sense? That in his next line, a poor man making a vow of poverty and in consequence becoming a sovereign? How does a poor man give up all money and then able to afford guards to be around him? Suspicious. And why do they end up thinking that they are equal to kings and princes? Well, we're all kings and priests here, but they're talking about it in the sovereign sense of the law and not God's law. But he says, so this is the abbes of other countries. Why shouldn't we accumulate wealth? Why shouldn't we become like princes? The bishops who were originally poor are like us. So I only circled that because not like us. They not like us. They not like us. These abbes are not like us. And final paragraph, it starts off, gentlemen, you are right. Invade the land. It belongs to him whose strength or skill obtains possession of it. So that is true. But most will consider it immoral to say that it's not true that just because you can take land that you deserve it. But without God, the ultimate judgment of law, then my muscle becomes the law. I am the law. And so ending this reading, tremble for fear. And that seems like a very biblical line. I don't know if we could find something that came before the Bible that will say tremble with fear. I don't know if tremble is such a biblical word even. For the rapping portion, I've got lion verses. There'll be a bunch of short bursts of verses. And with the lion theme, I am King Cooper, the lion brain. I don't know if that's a compliment. I mean, is Lionheart really a compliment? Lions aren't known for their hearts. I'm King Cooper, the lion mane. How's that sound for you? Okay, starting off is going to be Redman, and then the other one is Grip. Redman's song is called Ghetto Motivation. He says, haters hoping I flop, losing all of my guap. Understand that I'm a lion. I'm supposed to take what you got. So I'm a lion supposed to take what you got. And that's what the lion, see, not very heartfelt emotions, is it? So the lion comes along and says, mine now, because I'm the strongest. I'm the king. Other lines that Redman has from that song that I liked was cut the cake and split it with the wolves. That's what we were splitting with the wolves, Flizzo and Alex. Just a good thing for lions to do to keep those animals on his side. And finally he says, one of the greatest writers, like I'm Ye. Little compliment for Ye in there. For the Grip lion lines comes from the song 100 Yard Dash. He says, team around, took a tumble. Next time, be humble. I'm the lion in the jungle. You just trying not to fumble. Rumble, young man, rumble. And to break down those bars, lion in the jungle. You just try not to fumble. So I like that because the lion in the jungle, I'm the confident, strong one, and you're just trying not to fumble. So it rhymes, but also is then the insult to you. So not only am I puffed up, you're put down. And here I'd also like to take a note with Ye. He had that song, Forward in the Morning. I feel like I'm zoning. It's something like 300 women were the Trojans Oh yeah, a Roman was thrown in there too. And people were like, the 300 wasn't the Romans, it was the ancient Greeks. And this is where don't let facts get in the way of a good song, a good story. Lions aren't in the jungle. They're in the savannah, I believe. Tigers might be in the jungle, panthers, things like that. Ones that hide, where the lion just, that mane, he lets it flow about and says, I rule all I see. Please take a moment to subscribe or follow the channel. It's time for the wreck of the week. What's wrecking King Cooper's week? Sleep. Babies, I'm never getting enough sleep. There was one night this week, and even last night as well, I had to wake up 4 times. Four times in the night to feed a baby a bottle each wake, and wake up one additional time just to give her the pacifier, put her back to sleep. That is a hungry baby. So we're giving her bigger bottles in hopes that she sleeps longer. And she's old enough to start eating solid foods, which will slow down the digestive tract, making her feel fuller longer. But how about an extra whack of the week is back pain? If I sleep too much, my back hurts. So how does that sound? You're darned if you do sleep, darned if you don't sleep. But enough whacking. Let's calm down with some meditations. That's Marcus Aurelius' meditations. We're on Book 1, Chapter 17. So I said that we'd be done with meditation soon, and that is because this is 17 is the last chapter in Book 1. There's more books. Who knows how many? We might get back to meditations, but after being on a subject for so many weeks, I just want to do something new, so this is a nice stopping point. Here is 17. From the God, Zimmy Zam Boomafoo, I'm sure he means the one true God, Lord Jesus Christ. To have good grandparents, good parents, a good sister, good teachers, good family, relatives, and friends, almost everything, and that I did not blunder into offending any of them, even though I had the sort of disposition which might indeed have resulted in some such offense, given the occasion. It was the grace of the gods that no set of circumstances likely to show me up ever arose, that I was not brought up any longer than I was with my grandfather's mistress, and that I kept my innocence, leaving sexual experience to the proper time, and indeed somewhat beyond it. That I came under a ruler and a father who was to strip me of all conceit and bring me to realize that it is possible to live in a palace without feeling the need for bodyguards or fancy uniforms, candelabra, statues, or the other trappings of such like pomp, but that one can reduce oneself very close to the station of a private citizen and not thereby lose any dignity or vigor in the conduct of a ruler's responsibility for the common good. That I was blessed with a brother whose character could spur me to care for myself, and whose respect and affection were likewise a source of joy to me, that my children were not born short of intelligence or physically deformed, that I did not make further progress in rhetoric, poetry, and the other pursuits in which I could well have been absorbed if I had felt this my right path, that I was quick to raise my tutors to the public office which I thought they desired, and did not put them off in view of their youth with promises for the future, that I came to know Apollonius Rusticus Maximus, that I acquired a clear and constant picture of what is meant by the life according to nature, so that with regard to the gods, their communications from that world, their help and their inspiration, nothing now prevents me living the life of nature. Falling somewhat short still is due to my own fault and my failure to observe the promptings, not to say the instructions, of the gods. That my body has held out so far in a life such as mine that I never touched Benedicta or Theodotus, and that latter experience of sexual passion left me cured. That though I was often angry with Rusticus, my behavior never went to the point of regret. That my mother, fated to die young, nevertheless lived her last years with me. That whenever I wanted to help someone in poverty or some other need, I was never told that there was no source of affordable money, and that I myself never fell into similar want of financial assistance from another. That my wife is as she is, so submissive, loving, and unaffected, and that I found no lack of suitable tutors for my children. that I was given help through dreams, especially how to avoid spitting blood and bouts of dizziness, and the response of the oracle at Caita, just as you use yourself. That for all my love of philosophy, I did not fall in with any sophist or devote my time to the analysis of literature or logic, or busy myself with cosmic speculation. All these things need the help of God and fortune's favor. So I changed that last line to make it true that all these things need the help of God, not gods. So I went to cover then was we also had in the poem that mentioning of the gods. I don't fault people for saying things like that, especially ancient times. I mean, I know the guy in the 1800s isn't ancient times, but if they're in ancient times, like Socrates is going to be talking about that he loves the gods, I think he is still a holy man. I think he is in contact with Jesus and God in his own time. That, we might say Jesus or not Yahweh. That is our own language. So God speaks to us in our language, even if that means God's. But trust, they love Jesus. Marcus Aurelius loves Jesus. He'll say so eventually. All right, let's go through some of those lines. Oh, that I did not blunder into offending any of these people, even though I had the sort of disposition which might indeed have resulted in such offense. So that is a thing to be thankful for, that we have these people who are good to us and valuable over time, that we don't want to insult them, even though we need to be strict sometimes. And a father who was to strip me of all my conceit and bring me to realize that it is possible to live within a palace without feeling the need for bodyguards. Well, this also talks. So, what is the emperor Marcus Aurelius doing without bodyguards? And yet we have a spiritual father who does have bodyguards. What is that saying? That, all right, never mind. But that is part of, I don't know, being a good ruler is realizing that you have to get close to the people. You can't put up wall after wall separating you from the people and then be able to communicate to them, which connects to that one can reduce oneself very closely to the station of a private citizen, and I think is necessary to lead people. You have to be close to their position. He talks about that he didn't want to study rhetoric or poetry too much if he had felt that was his right path. He also talks about similar to not fall into the analysis of literature or logic. These are things that we do here, and I think he's right that you should learn these things, move on, and do something with it. So he's emperor, he has to do things with it. But currently where I'm at, and you as well, and you in the future, are learning these things for the first time, basically. I mean, I do this show a lot thinking of my kids and what do I want them to know? What do I want the words for them to hear? What is meant by their life according to nature, or the life according to nature. And this also seems like a Stoic idea, to try and live with nature. And it would be avoiding the extremes of each ends, because whatever nature does should be down the middle. I mean, the tree grows with the least resistance. And here also, he is humble, saying that anywhere that he did fall short was due to his own fault and not observing God's prompting, rather than God's message being messed up, which is wise, not to say that, oh, it was all God's fault, anything I did wrong. No, it was my fault. Similar with his getting angry at Rusticus, but his behavior never went to the point of regret, which is good, and saying avoiding the extremes. If we're in a situation where we regret what we've done, that's extreme. Last line, all these, I already covered, the help of God. Moving on to This Week in History. My history book is still building pre-civilization, explaining how hunters and gatherers turned into farmers and herders, meaning people turned from nomadic to stationary. The line that stood out in the book for me was this created the first haves and have-nots. Eat your heart out, Karl Marx. The nomadic people had to constantly be on the move in search of their next meal, where the farmers have food growing in their backyard. I'd also like to point how the privileged people flip as time goes on. The farmers have advantage for thousands of years, producing large families and controlling more land. Those super farms form the first cities. The flip comes when city bureaucrats start ruling over the farmers, taxing and directing their labor. Why would the farmers invest in cities? Capitalism and trading. The farmer only has access to what they create. Through trade, everyone has more. If you're enjoying the show, please leave a comment. I'd love for you to join the conversation. We'll be reading the Bible next. Amen. 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 We're finishing up Psalms. We've got Psalm number 10. It expresses anguish and doubt when facing evil and injustice. Here is Psalm number 10. Why standest thou afar off, O Lord? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, the covetous, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privately set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. He croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face, he will never see it. Arise, O Lord, O God, lift up thine hand, forget not the humble. Wherefore doth the wicked condemn God? He hath said in his heart, Thou wilt not require it. Thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite, to requite it with thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Break thou the arm of the wicked and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. The Lord is king forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of his land. Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. This is the word of the Lord. Quickly go through a couple of those lines. In the beginning, starts off with these questions. Verse number 1, why standest thou afar off, O Lord? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? This is, we know not the time of the end of days. We don't know when God will return, but it troubles us for some reason. I don't know why humans can't accept that and just wait patiently or be happy with our relationship with God currently. Next line, let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. So one, I think that's like the devil, those devices that they've imagined. The devil brought those ideas and then they are consumed by it. It also connects to the 666, the mark of the beast, that people will have this mark. And a lot of people like to connect it to things like social credit scores or a chip implant. I would see it as that as well, that those are the devices that we've imagined that will control people's lives. The wicked, in verse 4, does not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. Good thing to remember. A thing we've talked a lot about with Grizzy and Strong Lead Hook is how we can't understand how someone that doesn't love God thinks. We can't put ourselves in their head. It's so removed from our own that God is not in all his thoughts, but in us believers, God is in everything. In verse 6, he hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. So this seems like a stubborn way of thinking. I don't need to do anything because nothing will ever happen to me. Well, that's not true. Bad things are going to happen and you're going to need to call upon others. So be ready for that. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. That was verse 7. So that's kind of a form of lying and those wicked deeds. Here in verse 9, it mentions lying again, Zimmy Zamboomafu, but he lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. So I want to think of that as a safety net or philanthropy, that people will fall into that net and then they'll be caught by who? The lion in wait. So this is verse 11. It says, he hideth his face, he will never see it. So that to me makes me think of those non-believers. I like to say they are currently living in hell. So that's why, because they hide their face and they will never see it. That is a form of heck. All right, so I'm going to wind things down. I didn't study that philosophy book too much, and it was kind of meh because it was the morals of acts of omissions. So we'll still cover it next week, I'm sure. Things I did want to cover. Oh, I stopped wearing my cape. I've got the season 2 shirt on. I need to show the back of my shirt. Here, let's try. All right, it was at least on for partially. You can check out my Instagram, Drawing My Life Away 124, to see a better photo of the back. So I got the cape removed so you can see the back. It's a see-through shirt in a sense. I also need to show my golden shoes because I've mentioned it a couple times, and I would say if I didn't show my golden shoes in an episode, just assume I wasn't wearing them. Forget about all that nonsense I was talking about. You need to see it to believe it. Are you ready for some math? The numbers are 5, 5, 1, and 6. So what we can do is 5 times 6 equals 30, minus 5 equals 25, minus 1 equals 24. Final thought, love yourself, love your neighbor, find someone else to love. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.